Went and scooped up a deal on Facebook Marketplace. I honestly needed something to get running and driving and have fun with while we're building the Mustang, because the Mustang is going to be an in-depth build that's going to take a little while. This car, I'm hoping that we can get running and driving relatively easy with a little work and do something fun that we can maybe take to duct tape drags or something like that, like Vice Grip Garage or Pole Barn Garage style, and have some fun with it.
This is my 1968 Ford Fairlane 500 Torino. That's a mouthful, so I'm not going to say all that. We're just going to call it a Ford Torino. Today we're going to try to get it running and driving, and it's only been sitting for 20 years, so that should be easy. So 1968 was the first year of the Ford Fairlane 500 Torino. The Torino was offered as a trim level in 1968 and in 1969. It wasn't until 1970 that the Torino got its own model. So this here is a pristine example, 27 original owner. And we're gonna see if we can get her going. What we have here is a 289 2-barrel carburetor. No battery, not to worry. I already went and picked one up from O'Reilly's. Fuel and spark are gonna be our main priorities. Just wanna get the engine running. That's first on the agenda. See if we can get her to fire up, turn over. Starter's good, all that's good. We do have keys, that's a plus. Battery tray is about rusted out, but she's still there. She's holding on strong. She's holding on strong. Everything appears to be here, factory AC car. So that'll be fun to get down to the fuel pump. Have to do it from underneath more than likely. Got a couple of rust holes here on the old strut towers. Other than that though, inside the engine bay, pretty good. Haven't seen anything that's been like chewed through, cut, or anything like that. Kind of wonder if the spark plug wires are still any good. Battery cables are laying down there. Also gonna check the radiator, see what she looks like. If we need to top her off with coolant, I may drain a little bit just to see what it looks like, see what kind of shape it's in. Overall, not bad. Car's got good bones. We do got some rust down in the fenders. Rockers don't look half bad. And then the quarters are kind of shot. Definitely gonna have to either patch or replace those. Good thing is AMD sells complete replacement panels for a lot of the parts on this car. Other side, there's the Fairlane 500. Again, quarters are pretty rough. Rockers, not too bad. And then fender, again, not so great. Inside, we don't have a handle. We don't have a button on this side, or I should say the handle's there. So we're gonna have to order a new handle for her. But this door opens just fine. On the inside, oh, and the window just came out of the door. Great. I'm sure that's fine. The carpet looks soaking wet on this side, so I'm sure there's no rust under there. The dash has been Freddy Kruegered, so that's going to need a new pad. Door panel is the only thing missing. The previous owner didn't know where it was. We've got some weight-saving speed modifications that have been done to the driver's seat over there. That's race car stuff. You guys wouldn't know nothing about that. Keys in the ignition. Overall, not terrible. A lot of trash and stuff in the back that needs to be vacuumed out. We'll see what kind of shape the floorboards are in. I'm gonna rip all this carpet out. Definitely needs new seat. And boy, oh boy, if you could smell through the camera. Not the worst that I've ever smelled, but it's yeah, it's pretty good, pretty gnarly. Look at that. Still shuts like a top. Well, I needed this car like I need another hole in the head, but if owning three $1,500 cars isn't successful, I don't know what is. The game plan with this thing is to get it running and driving and have something fun on the channel to have a good time with, do some burnouts, maybe go to some like duct tape drags or some stuff like that. Just have fun with it while we're building the Mustang, because the Mustang is going to be a very lengthy build, so why not have something to enjoy in the meantime? Not entirely sure what those are. Thought it was the wing nut that screws on the breather cover, but nope. Oh, she's looking a little dusty. Well, she's got a tag on her. It's an auto light. I believe it's a 2100 2-barrel. Oh, and she's not froze up. That's a good sign. I was able to spin this thing over a little bit by hand using the fan when I went and looked at it, so I know that the motor is not locked up. So I guess we're going to check the fluids, the oil, the trans fluid, the coolant, things like that. See what's working, what needs to be replaced. Power steering is bone dry. We've got oil, and it could use a few quarts, but it's halfway up the dipstick between the add and the full. And it doesn't look milky, which is good. It means there's no coolant in it. We don't have a head gasket or anything like that, hopefully, to worry about. Smells a little like gas. Oh, transmission. Yeah. It's a little chunky. Not sure that that's a good sign. Very gritty. This old girl has a C4 automatic in her. From the looks of that fluid, we may or may not have gears. Well, I guess first things first, we'll throw a battery on her. Well, nothing's on fire. That's a good sign. Well, this here bolt is completely locked up, tighter than Hillary Clinton's pocketbook. So I can't get this to tighten or loosen to secure it to the negative terminal on the battery very well. And I don't want that to become an issue when we start trying to figure out all the ins and outs of this thing and trying to fire it over. So I'm just going to cut the head off of that bolt. I have another bolt here that I'm going to slide on there with a nut, and voila, problem solved. The operation bolt replacement is complete. Well, it's a really good thing that I procrastinated to the hottest part of the day to try to do this. For funsies here, let's see what she does when we turn the key. Oh, this chair is almost non-existent. Ew, that's not good. No dash lights, no nothing. Huh, that stinks. I am seeing a wire nest up under here. No telling what's been done. So we're gonna have to try to figure out why we're not getting anything on the dash with the key on. Well, guys, I want to show you something that should be a lesson to you. Always check just to be sure, because I kind of messed up. Let me show you what happened. So, red cable, black cable, normally power ground. I had it hooked up as such. Did not really pay attention, but this wire going to the starter solenoid is a power wire. This red wire goes down and grounds to the block. And then this wire runs from our solenoid to our starter. So they have the cable color reversed. So this is ground and this is power. Did not realize that when I first hooked it up. Got it hooked up right now. Battery doesn't quite sit right in there because that cable's too short, but it'll be good enough for now. It's still on the tray, just not 100% in there. Well, with that out of the way, I've checked a couple of other things off camera. We are going to try to key on, and if we can't get it started with that, we're going to use the old screwdriver on the solenoid trick. Turn signal still comes on. None of the gauges are lighting up. When I try to crank it though, that brake lights come on. I've tried pressing the brake to see if that would help. Got the brake all the way pressed down. Still nothing. Blower motor works, so that's kind of cool. For now, I'm going to disconnect our fuel hose from here and from the fuel pump, blow it out, and then see if we can get a new fuel line ran just until we can get this thing cranked off. Well, I had to play Jenga with her for a couple 30 minutes, but I was able to snake her up out of there from the bottom. Fuel line that goes up to the carburetor is a hard line. The one that goes from the fuel pump to the inside the inner fender is a soft line. This one does have a splice in it connecting it to the carb. So I'm gonna blow that out. Had to pull the old top radiator hose off. Luckily though, I checked this and no coolant, you know, so yay, good for me. Or blow her back out here. Oh, hi-ya! Dust the threads off while we're at it. That ought to do her. Well, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. Good news is this motor does spin some. Bad news is she reaches a sticking point that I feel like is coming from this side of the motor and could be a stuck valve. I've whacked them with a hammer, doesn't seem to be stuck, but something's definitely getting hung up. Problem I'm running into is this fan is all kinds of in the way of spinning the crank bolt. Even from the bottom, it's still a pain. It gets all in the way. Well, good news. Put the old cheater pipe on here. Got the radiator and the fan out of the way and the fan shroud. Give her one of these, and she broke loose. So, it's still a little tight, but she's spinning. There we go. That is great news. If you really want to get humbled in life, decide to work on old cars, because everything you touch, it gets worse and worse. And then you really start to appreciate the little things like, oh, that bolt wasn't roasted completely in two, and I didn't have to cut that out. So yeah, it works wonders on your psyche. I didn't really quite think it was a problem with the valve train yet, because the spark plugs weren't all beat all to crap. They look pretty decent. Some of them are covered in gasoline. There's the passenger side, driver's side. But all in all, they weren't bad at all. I think what I'm gonna do now is put the spark plugs back in, put the spark plug boots back on, try to give it some fuel. We'll see what happens. See if we can't get her to bark off. All right, valve cover's back on, spark plugs are in, spark plug wires are back on. Ford put this dandy little bracket over here that makes it dang near impossible to get that third spark plug in there. So I'm really glad that was there, because without that, it would have been way too easy. So that's all taken care of. I've got the fuel line hooked back on for now. You guys can see that there. And then I disconnected the fuel inlet from down here so that I can plumb up a 5-gallon jug with fuel. I'm not gonna do that just yet though. I'm gonna try to use some brake clean and stuff to see if I can just get this thing to light off, just to make sure that everything's gonna work. That doesn't sound good. we got that smoking? Wonder if it's just crud from the engine. Nope, that's the starter. I think. Oh wait, no. Nope, that's coming from the exhaust. Looks like it's coming from the manifold where the flange meets up to the exhaust. So that's probably got some mouse crud in it, I would imagine. Hopefully nothing to start a fire. That would be terrible. But hey, if it burns down, well, problem solved. We don't have to fix it. Although I would prefer that it not burn down right in front of my garage. So the smoke is coming from right there. This is where the log manifold meets up with the collector. This is the collector for the exhaust. And the starter is right below that. I think what I'm going to do is jack the car up, put some chocks under the rear wheels, and just try to get a better look under there, see what's going on. Ow, sandspur. Well, after getting my eyeballs on her, I'm fairly certain that it's not the starter. It's probably just a ton of crap clogged up in the exhaust. They're pretty rusted down below. Mice, whatever, could have gotten up in there, some sort of animal. So we're gonna try it again. I don't know, that smells kind of smells like electrical, which worries me. I think she's gonna run, boys. Well, I'm not sure what that sound is, but it doesn't sound good. Sounds like the starter might be shot. But at least it's not locked up, or otherwise I wouldn't be cranking it over. I wonder if we hook up the fuel, if that fuel pump will start pumping through and we can get her fired up. Let's give that a shot. Yeah, who put that on? Okay, we're currently smoking out the neighborhood, but you know, they did the same to us on 4th of July, so we'll be all right. Keys on, yep. Use the old needle and seat adjuster. It's adjusted. Come on. Hey! She ran. Counting that as running. Obviously, we still got work to do, but well, she's run for a couple minutes, but I can't tell if the jets are working in here. Ah, here's something. I see a little bit of fuel squirting in there. Oh. Huh. Although it's looking like only one side of the Venturis are getting fuel. Need a light. Here. No, they're both squirting. All right. Well, I'll take it. She might be running like a one-legged, deaf, blind, and dumb dog, but she's still running. Well, now that she's running, we got to get her running a little better. Then we need to test to see if we have transmission. I know we don't have brakes, so brakes are going to have to be one of the first things that we do. Pedal goes straight to the floor, nothing. Still got to figure out why the key doesn't work. Well, it's now a different day, and I ran to the parts store early this morning, get an early jump start on her. Picked up a bunch of things, valve cover gaskets. The other valve cover gaskets were just disintegrated. Got some oil, got some type F trans fluid, power steering fluid, because I noticed the reservoir was bone dry. Got a new starter solenoid. Hopefully that helps with the ignition issue, we'll see. Got some new spark plugs, new plug wires, new Wix filter, and then a bunch of dinosaurs to put in her, as well as some hose clamps that I needed. So I'm going to try to get started refilling all of her fluids, knocking all this stuff out, putting new plugs, plug wires, all that jazz. I was hoping to get started on this before it got too hot, but no such luck. It's already hotter than a good chainsaw at the pawn shop. So let's get started. Oh. I think the plan of attack will be change out the plugs, the plug wires, the starter solenoid. Then I will put the radiator and the radiator fan back in, fill it full of coolant. We're gonna probably need to drain the gas tank. I have a siphon pump, see what kind of gunk and stuff we pull out of there, determine whether or not we use that gas tank or we have to pull it, clean it, get a new gas tank, that kind of thing. I know it looks like we have a lot of stuff ahead of us still, but if you close your eyes and you look at it with your heart instead of your eyeballs, it's almost done. after scraping these with a wire brush and ricocheting brake clean into my eyes 37 times. I got these cleaned up a little bit, not so they look any better. We don't care about that right now. But if it does start leaking oil, at least now I'll be able to see where it comes from. If it's coming from a valve cover or something like that. Before they were so gunked up, wouldn't have been able to tell anything. So hopefully that helps identify a leak if we have one. Well, we got spark plugs back on, we got spark plugs in, we got valve cover gaskets on, we got starter solenoid back on, we got the radiator back in, topped it off with coolant. I'm gonna try to burp it when we crank it. What else? Brake fluid, not so hot. Not sure what we're gonna do about that yet. We'll worry about that later. I think what I'm gonna try to do now is try to siphon and see what's in the gas tank. Then I needed to fix the fuel line. Where I disconnected the rubber hose, it was just rotted. It just tore to pieces. So I'm gonna have to replace that, but I already have some fuel line that I used to siphon out of the 5-gallon jug, so I can just use that fuel line to replace that. And once we get fuel going to this bad boy, that should be about it.
Boy, was I wrong. This is called foreshadowing, and I was in for a whole bunch more than I bargained for. You can see all the crud that blew out of the exhaust.
Oh, that feels good. Feels like it's been open recently. As the sweat pours down in my eyeballs. Yeah, that's not very promising. Well, the filler neck looks absolutely disgusting. Perfect. That's exactly what I was trying to do. Let's see what kind of gunk comes out of this. Oh yeah, that's delicious looking. Look at that. Oh yeah. Looks like throw up. As crappy as it does look though, not seeing any chunks of anything yet. Not yet anyway. God, this pavement is so hot. Oh, let's do this. Oh, stool here. All right. It's not wanting to refill here. Gumming up my siphon pump. Go figure. Well, that's about all the fluids I could get out of her. So I'm guessing it didn't have very much fuel in the tank, but no chunks, no rust. That's a good sign. Here's the fuel feed line that comes from the tank to the pump. And you can see here what I was talking about earlier. It just shredded to pieces. It's so brittle. So took that off. It connects right here. Goes through the inner fender to a hard line back to the tank. So what I'm going to do is from here to the pump, I have some new hose that I'm going to use, but I'm going to splice it and I'm going to put this fuel pump in line with it. So that way if we do have any gunk in the tank, it'll hopefully clog this up and then we can always swap this out. Try to protect from going to our carb. And the carb does have a small little filter on it as well. So hopefully both of those combined will keep the gunk out. Something like that. And then you just got to make sure there should be an arrow on here somewhere. Right there. It says 2 carb, so make sure your fuel
is flowing this way to the carburetor.
I think we are finally at a place we can fire this up. We're gonna try to burp the coolant. We're gonna look at our fuel filter, see if we're getting any gunk in there, see if it'll pull from the tank. I know it'll pull from a 5-gallon jug, but we haven't tried pulling from the tank yet. And then just overall, how does she run? I did put a little bit of tranny fluid in her because she leaked some out when I pulled the radiator. Only thing I haven't touched really is brake fluid. Also, now that we got the new starter solenoid in there, we need to see if the key will work. Let's give it a shot. Still no ignition with the key. Well, it's now a different day. And I figured since the car wouldn't stay running that there was something going on with the carb. Sure enough, pulled the carb. The needle was down in the seat and it was missing the clip that connects it to the float so that it can move up and down. So it was just stuck down. The accelerator pump spring was in there backwards. There were some vacuum lines that weren't quite routed properly. So I fixed all that, put the hose back in the 5-gallon jug, jumped the starter terminal, and it fired right up. Ran just fine. Stayed running for just a little bit, but I turned it off. I don't want to leave it idling very long until I can figure out the issue with the gauges, because I still don't know if I have oil pressure. I still want to monitor a few things while I'm idling it, trying to burp the coolant, while I can go through the transmission, see what gears we have or don't have. But the first thing I gotta do is clean. The inside of this car is absolutely disgusting. So I'm gonna vacuum it out. I'm gonna pull the seat out because it is completely destroyed. I mean, every time I sit down in this thing, I about fall through the seat. And it is just absolutely disgusting in here. Ooh, a koozie. I mean, it's just gross. And this seat is dang near unusable. So I'm gonna pull that out. I'm gonna clean up this a little bit. Not spick and span, I don't wanna lay in this crap. So I can get up under the dash and take a closer look to see what we got going on. Through the efforts of movie magic, the seat is now gone. And you can see what we're dealing with here. I mean, it is pretty bad. Well, she doesn't look like a backwoods truck stop restroom floor anymore. Does have a few bad spots, but honestly, the floors in this are better than the floors in the Mustang. Oddly enough, because the outside of this car has a lot more rust than the outside of the Mustang, but the floors in the Mustang are shot. These aren't so bad. Anyway, I'm gonna get up under the dash here, see what I can figure out. It's gonna be too hard to film that, me crawled up under there, so I'll get with you guys whenever I find something. Well, as you can see, things have de-escalated here to Sketchville. I've got the Harbor Freight jack stands out, so you know things are going well. Sorry about the background noise, but there is an actual heat advisory in effect today. It is 9 billion degrees, so we're just gonna have to deal with the fan. Well, it makes sense that the sensors aren't working once you take a closer look and realize that you never looked in the first place. And water temperature sensor, oil sending unit, none of those are even plugged up. The wires are nowhere to even be found, so that makes sense. I went ahead and popped the old AC compressor off because it was shot anyway, and if I'm gonna put AC back on this car, it's gonna have to be replaced, so it was kind of just in the way, so I went ahead and removed it. Popped the dash pad off, pulled the gauges out. Neutral safety switch is just dangling under the dash there, so perfect. That explains why the gearage is probably not working correctly. I could get the lights down here to work. Nothing on the gauge cluster will work. Pulled the connector off on the back of it, checked it. The printed circuit board looks fine. However, none of the wires going to that were getting power. So that explains that issue. So what I'm gonna do in the meantime, I've bought a set of gauges just to throw under the dash with water temp, oil pressure, and voltage, just so I know what we have going on and we can run the car with no issue. I was able to get it to roll on its own forward the other day. However, today I come out, it's in park. I moved the fancy wooden chalk blocks here backwards so I could roll this back, and it rolled back on its own while in park. So, maybe we got gears, maybe we don't. I don't know what's going on with that situation yet. Anyway, reason I've got it on jack stands. Let me pop you up under here so you can take a look at what I'm looking at. So, as your eyeballs are telling you right now, this thing is in fantastic shape and is not covered with 6 inches of sludge absolutely everywhere. It is sometimes hard to even tell what you're looking at under here. So I've got it jacked up. I'm gonna soak it down with some degreaser and try to pressure wash her off a little bit. Oh yeah, the oil drain plug, it gets righty, but it no get tighty. So it just constantly leaks. I'm sure that's not part of the issue down here. And I mean, this thing is just, look at those ball joints. Yeah, I'm sure those are fine. Ugh. Yeah. The underside of this thing is just disgusting. So, I'm gonna try to wash her down. Try not to spray it in my eyes. This thing is just horribly caked with stuff. And I don't honestly know if this stuff is even gonna touch it, but worth a shot. And if I was a smarter man, I would have started at the back and worked my way forward. But here we are. My eyes. I don't know if that's sweat or the degreaser. I do the old karate kick to keep from sliding under the car. Yep, buddy. I can actually see the grounding cable now. Okay. Well, as you guys can see, looks a lot better under here. I mean, she's still no beauty queen, but she ain't covered in 10 pounds of makeup. All right, guys, it is hot. In the next episode, we will hook up O'Reilly's finest gauges. That way we can let it idle, see what our oil pressure is, see what the water temperature is. We'll let it idle long enough to see if the thermostat opens, see if we've got any blockages there. I did flush the radiator, but if you remember, I did not flush the block. Probably should have, didn't think about it. Didn't even check the water pump. Anyway, next episode, we'll get the gauges hooked up, we'll let it idle, we'll figure all that out, and then I'm gonna try to chase down some of the wiring gremlins and see where we're at on transmission. See if we actually have any of the gears or what's going on there. Once we get gauges, transmission, last thing is brakes, and I still gotta make sure that fuel is pulling from the tank. After that, she should be running and driving. That's gonna wrap it up here. Stay tuned for part 2. Hopefully we'll be driving this bad boy.